What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of This Week in Sports. I'm your host, Romeo Sharp. You're probably wondering why we're outside. Well, it's just because I like to be outside, okay? I think it's a beautiful day. I think it's a good day to just be outside and just take in the fresh air out here. I mean, it's a beautiful sunny day. So, here, take that back, Noah. Hold on, let me take this off real quick, too. It was fun while it lasted. Let's see. We got a lot to get into today, y'all. But first, like I said, it's fucking beautiful out here. We got a lot to get into today. We got... What the hell do we got? We got some shit. That's for sure. We got some shit. Hold on. We got some shit to talk about. First thing first, we're going to talk about the Final Four recap. Talk about these four teams, Florida, Auburn, Duke, and Houston. We're also going to talk about UConn, the women's national championship game versus South Carolina. Talk a little bit about Paige Becker as well and her rise to stardom as well. Talk about the NBA a little bit. And then we're going to get into my first ever official mock draft, This Week in Sports edition mock draft. So let's dive right into our first subject, which is the Final Four recap, y'all. The first game of Saturday night was Florida versus Auburn. Now, when this game started off, there was 8 lead changes in that first 10 minutes of this game. You know, both teams are shooting well over 55% of their shots. Both playing very physical in terms of on the offensive side of the ball. Defensive side, it was kind of missing that first 11 minutes for both teams. Auburn kind of climbed up to an 8-point lead heading into halftime. And again, they seemed like the more physical team heading into this game. Or heading into halftime, that is. But I think a switch got flipped in the second half. Todd Golden, if you guys are watching that game, you can kind of just see the competitive spirit in him, just seeing all of his emotions come to light in that first half against Auburn. And he didn't want his team to come out in that second half playing dull the way they finished off that first half playing dull. Now, Todd Golden, he's a former University of San Francisco head coach. He was also the former assistant head coach for the current head coach of Auburn, Bruce Pearl, as well. So, in that second half, though, Florida came out as the most dominant team. Now, Walter Clayton Jr., he had 34 points on 11 of 18 shooting. Very efficient shooter on Saturday night. He had 5 3-pointers as well, making him also the first player in the NCAA tournament to have back-to-back 30-point games since Larry Bird did it in 1979. And mind you, that's like, I think, late into the Elite Eight, the Final Four. So it's talking about like that, like in that realm. I'm sure there's guys that had back-to-back 30-point games in the tournament, but late into the tournament, no, you rarely ever see it. And like I said, he's only the second to do it. He was loaded with confidence. He had such quickness on Saturday. And like I said, he was an efficient shooter for Walton Clayton. And he had a lot of poise. Like I said, they were down 8 points. He didn't shy away from getting the ball at all. He didn't shy away from trying to take shots and create shots himself. His teammate Elijah Martin, he had 17 points. And by the way, he's 2 years removed from playing in the Final Four with FAU. He's a very physical player himself, and he played tremendous as well. On the other side of the ball, let's talk about Auburn real quick. Now, the Florida defense suffocated the All-American Johnny Broome. But mind you, he finished with 15 points, but majority of that came in the first half. That second half, though, is one Broome wants to forget for sure for the rest of his career. He had only 3 points coming out of that second half. Now, he was dealing with like an elbow injury or something along those lines, but he definitely was downplaying the injury. I think pre-game, they had questions for him. I mean, obviously, leading up to the Final Four game, people were asking him, hey, how's that elbow doing? He downplayed it, and try to play the best of his ability on Saturday night. His teammate, Chad Baker Mazara, he had 18 points with 4 3-pointers. But Florida advances to their 4th national championship game with a 79-73 win over Auburn, where they will play. And unfortunately, they're not playing Duke, y'all. They're not. They're going to play Houston. And we're going to get into right now this. Let's just dive into this Houston Duke game right now, actually, y'all. Let's just see what this is all about. Houston avenges their last year's Sweet 16 loss against Duke in the Final Four game on Saturday night. It was just a complete meltdown from Duke all around. in that last minute and a half, damn near last 30 seconds of the game. So if anyone ever tells you 30 seconds isn't enough, trust me, it's enough, okay? It's enough, okay? So, like I said, complete meltdown. LJ Cryer, the guard from Houston, he had 26 points in 40 minutes of play. This man did not leave the court. He did not leave the court at all. His teammate, Emmanuel Sharp, he had a good, he dropped a little 16 points as well. For Houston in general, in 15 seconds in that second half, they scored 7 points in 15 seconds. I think it was like during, like I said, the late into the game, they had that 7 points in those 15 seconds. Duke had a late turnover, which what seemed to be to set everything in motion and give Houston all this momentum. Again, there was 31 seconds left on the clock. Like I said, 30 seconds, it's enough, okay? They were up 3 points. They had an inbound pass that was tipped. Houston retained the possession of that ball. They put up a 3-point shot. They missed it. But Joseph Tugler, I believe who it was, he gets the offensive rebound and dunks it. And again, that sparked even so much more momentum for the Houston. You should have seen the Houston bench. The Houston bench was going wicked. And that brought them down to 1 point. That following possession, Houston got a foul on Duke. They had to foul Duke and send them to the line, which they were doing it was a 1-and-1, because in college basketball, I believe, if you get more than 10 fouls or something along those lines, free throws are 1-and-1. So if you knock down the first one, you'll get a chance to make a second one. But if you miss that first one, you don't get a second chance. Now, and they missed, but Duke missed this 1-and-1, and Cooper Flagg himself, he got called for over the back. And that sent Houston to the line to knock down some clutch 1-and-1s. And like I said, y'all, just according to like KenPom metrics, Houston has the #1 overall defense in the nation. And seeing that in those last 30 seconds of that game, you could tell who the more physical team was, and it was Houston. And you could tell who knew how to play defense. They were suffocating Duke. They were playing full court press the entire time, and Duke just didn't have any answer for it. Duke had no answers. Now, it's not Cooper Flagg's fault. Now, mind you, there was a late, he had the second to last shot in this game, and it was a tough one. It was a tough contested shot for sure for Cooper Flagg. I probably could have got a better look than what he got in this game. It's not completely his fault. Like I said, that meltdown is just the team in general. Cooper Flagg, he had 27 points, he had 7 rebounds, he had 4 assists, but again, that wasn't enough to bring Duke to the top and surpass Houston. So Houston does go on to win 70-67, and now they're looking to win their first national championship in school history. Now let's kind of now before we get into the national championship game, kind of speak on Cooper Flagg himself. He was named the Naismith Player of the Year. He had the most points per game, which was 19.2. It was the first by what was it? Again, 19.2 points per game. He's the first freshman to do it on a Final Four team since the recently inducted Hall of Famer Carmelo Anthony, which shout out to Carmelo Anthony for getting inducted to the Hall of Fame. Along with, he won the John R. Wooden Award, and also the AP National Player of the Year for men's basketball. So, looking at his career as a whole, as a freshman, that is, y'all, he's only a freshman for Cooper Flagg. He played tremendous this whole season. You can't count him out at all in terms of it's not his fault. You can't put any blame on him. He definitely, like I said, he could have probably had a better shot selection in that game against Houston. But overall, this man played lights out all season long. Showed up in the tournament when it mattered most, of course, and he's a consensus #1 overall pick in this upcoming draft as well. Who knows if he's actually going to stay at Duke, if he's going to enter the draft. I'm gonna keep my ears close to that one. You guys, let me know what you think about that one. Now, my predictions. Let's get into this national championship game, which is tonight, by the way. What is it, like at 5 or 6 p.m. Florida is going to be playing Houston to crown a champion tonight. So both teams have played very, very well. Their second half defense is out of this world from both teams. But the only thing that might be holding Florida back is they are sloppy with the basketball. They have sloppy basketball play. In 5 games, they've had over 60 turnovers, which is kind of not okay. And you can't win basketball. Well, they obviously won basketball games, but you just can't keep getting away with all this sloppy play. Now, Houston is a team that's in better shape. I seen this post actually where it mentioned that every player on the Houston roster runs a sub 5-minute mile time, and that's insane. That is insane, out of this world. But in terms of for Florida, it cannot be a one-man show with Walter Clayton Jr. Again, he can do it. He can probably carry this team on his back, but he needs everyone else, Elijah Martin. He needs all those guys to have his back as well, so he can play well himself. But as I look at this game, like I said, I think Houston just has more gas left in their tank. They are I think they are probably the more physical team. I do believe Houston pulls out a win and wins their first ever national championship in school history. So I believe Houston will take down Florida tonight. I want you guys to let me know down below who you guys got to win tonight. Do you think Florida and Walter Clayton Jr. can pull it out, or does Houston get their first ever championship game? Speaking of championship games, we had the women's college basketball national championship game on Sunday as well. Now, I mentioned last month or so about UConn women's basketball, and let me just say they did not disappoint. They dominated the entire tournament. Any team that crossed paths with them probably regretted it, and South Carolina definitely regretted it. UConn reached their 13th national championship game holding a 12-1 record, which is actually absurd. I think their only loss came against South Carolina in the national championship game back in, 22-23. The head coach, Gino, he needs his flowers for the production he has on the court with his players, the prospects they bring in over there at UConn. They just keep on balling, whether it's men or women. You know, if the men's aren't doing too hot, the women's are doing hot, and vice versa. So it doesn't matter. What is it? Like I said, they played South Carolina in the national championship game on Sunday. It was a dominating performance by the big three of UConn. They won 82-59. Sarah Strong had a double-double with 24 points and 15 rebounds on 10 of 15 shooting, so she was very efficient herself. Azzi Fudd, she dropped 24 points herself, and then Paige Becker, she had 17. So shout out to the UConn women's basketball team. They got the win and got their 12th national championship. That's a tremendous program over there in UConn. You guys let me know. What you say?
12 is crazy.
Yeah, 12 is out of this world insane. And like I said, they're not going anywhere. Sarah Strong probably is going to keep on bringing that winning mentality over there, because I think Azzi Fudd and Paige, they're moving on. I believe they're moving on to the WNBA draft. But before we move forward, let's take a step back real quick, y'all. Before we move forward, let's take a step back and look at Paige's career as a whole, and just look at that 2020 recruiting class real quick. So both her and Azzi Fudd, they had to overcome a lot of adversity throughout their college careers. I mean, Azzi only had this one healthy year, which was this year that just happened. In her 4 years playing, she tore her ACL twice, so she just wasn't healthy, and she didn't get her opportunity up until this year. And then in terms of Paige Becker, she took UConn to the Final Four her freshman year. She won AP Player of the Year for women's basketball too, as well as a freshman. Let me emphasize that. She had surgery on her knee her sophomore year, but she came back and led the Huskies to the national title game, where they got their first loss against South Carolina. The next year, she missed the entire junior year, so her torn ACL. And I mean, man, this girl battled it out for sure. And then last year, they made the Final Four. She was a first-team All-American, but she had the choice of whether entering the draft or running it back another year. And, she decided, which paid in dividend, she decided to run it back with UConn and brought them a national championship. So, I mean, like I said, she's probably cemented herself into UConn women's basketball history. Hell, maybe even UConn sports in general. I believe the state of Connecticut should definitely make a statue of this woman, because she brought a lot of spark to Connecticut. And like I said, I mean, no disrespect to the state of Connecticut, but I don't know what there is to do in Connecticut, as I always state. I mean, I guess you can hoop. Noah, do you know anything at all? Yeah. So I think she needs a statue for sure in UConn. So, like I say, shout out to the UConn Huskies for winning that national championship game. But let's take a step back and let's look at it from a broader scope, y'all. Let's look at that 2020 recruiting class for women. That was something special. These last 5 years gave us some of the best talent in the world. Hell, this might be even the best women's basketball class ever. Could be wrong. You guys let me know what you think. Now, to name some of the few, you got Paige Becker, you got Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, Caitlin Clark. Like, those are just some of the names that were in this recruiting class in 2020. And, you know, something that they all have in common, if I look at it, they all got championships. Probably multiple. So all of them are just playing lights out. And like I said, the last 5 years of women's sports has really just tailored around these few women for sure. And a lot of other as well, but these women for sure have definitely brought a lot of light to women's sports, and it definitely made it exciting for me to watch because I love watching all these people play for sure. Let me know what you guys think though down below. Do you think that 2020 class was probably the best ever? Is UConn destined to win more chips going down the line, or do you think this might be the end of the road for them in a sense? Let me know what you guys think, okay? Steering away from women's basketball, let's dive right back into the men's side of things. Actually taking a step further, let's go to the NBA real quick, y'all. Now the NBA, we have like we have 4 games left, y'all, coming up this season. At the end of the season, we have the playoffs starting next week, and everything's just heating up. Everything is heating up, and one guy in particular that's making another guy like anxious right now is probably Jokic. He isn't shying away from giving SGA that MVP now, y'all. Like I said, he's giving him a run for his money when it comes to the MVP race, and it might just be the tightest race that we've known to date. So he set the record for the highest points scored in a triple-double game with 61, 10, and 10. He shot 6-11 from the three-point range last Tuesday against the Minnesota Timberwolves. That is Jokic, that is. You know, but despite all that, unfortunately, and it's going to leave a sour taste for sure, probably for Nuggets fans, and obviously Jokic himself, but, you know, he doesn't really express much. That man, I don't know, he's just so nonchalant. Despite all that, they lost by 1 point to the Timberwolves, who, Anthony Edwards, he dropped 34 and 10 himself. And like I said, that game last Tuesday, it went into overtime. And poor Russ. Poor Russ. He has some lowlights, y'all. When he does have his lowlights, he has his lowlights. I don't want to point the fingers at him for sure, but I mean that is the reason why they lost that game. They lost 140 to 139. He blew a wide open layup, and they just, I don't know what's going on with, what was it?
Fouled him.
And then he fouled. Oh yeah, then back-to-back plays. He missed the wide open layup, and then he fouls the play after. So you know, like I said, he's had his lowlights for sure in his career. I won't put it all on Russ, but obviously they're not playing well defensively anyways. I mean, you're giving. Jamal Murray has been out as well, so that doesn't really help out this team. I mean, even last night, y'all, Jokic put up 41 and 15 and 13, but despite that, they lost by 5 points, and now they're on a 4-game losing streak. And they, like I said, they seem not to be able to get out of their own way in these losses. So this 4-game skid is really is going to play huge come seeding time, because, like I said, we only got 4 games left, and each loss they are dropping, and they're in danger of being in the play-in and not even being a playoff team. So nothing wrong with playing in the play-in, but that just adds extra games. That adds extra just extra games for you. So I don't think you want to. You want to try to avoid that as much as possible. And then on the other hand, though, after notching up a 5-game winning streak, one of those being against the Nuggets, actually, where Steph actually dropped 30 points, the Warriors, however, with Steph in particular, went completely cold last night. I mean, I believe he only had 3 points. He had 3 points, and I think Draymond Green had 2. Alperen Sengun and Dillon Brooks, they led the charge last night in their victory over the Warriors. There was also some back and forth jawing. I think it was like before halftime between Steph and the Rockets head coach Ime Udoka. Isn't Ime the same guy that didn't the Celtics fire him for something? or some shit. Yeah, but I don't. That has nothing to do with it. I just thought that was an interesting thing that I forgot about. But yeah, they were drawing back and forth. I don't know what that was all about. But again, that Houston defense held Steph to 1 for 10 in shooting. And like I said, he only had 3 points. And just looking at that game in particular, and then just taking it to a broader scope as well. Every game so far, this last week, these last couple games coming into the playoffs, it's heating up. And like I said, the playoff picture in the West is shifting every day, y'all. Every single day. And we won't know who has what in terms of seeding probably until the last game of the season. Probably until that clock here hits 0, we won't know for sure. Now, for the West, it's the wild, wild West. Let's go over to the East real quick, where everything's kind of put in place. Everybody's basically has clinched a playoff spot. Now it's more so just seeding. Like I said, the East is kind of laid out. Let's kind of look into it real quick. So our play-in teams, which they can't get any higher than this, are the Hawks, the Bulls, the Heat, and the Magic. Our playoff teams for the East are going to be the Cavs, who have the number 1 seed right now. If anything terrible happens along the way, they can drop to 2 and give it to the Celtics, which the Celtics have the 2 seed right now. And they actually broke the record for the most 3 points made by a team in a season that which was held by the 2022-2023 Golden State Warriors, who had 1,363 3-pointers made. So the Celtics are shooting lights out for sure. Another team, the Detroit Pistons. Now Detroit is back in the playoffs for the first time since 2019. That is a tremendous turnaround for this team. That Wolves game actually last week, I feel like the Timberwolves just were in a bunch of shit last week, but they had 5 players ejected and 2 coaches, including JB Bickerstaff. So they got them rough boys over in Detroit. So and they have a lot of confidence, even though they're a young team. I'm sure they hear it a lot. Oh, they're just a young team. They'll probably get bounced out in the first round. This and that, and the other. I'm sure they hear all that, and they're responding well. They're responding, and I mean, obviously, you don't want to get your players ejected. You don't want to, all that to happen, all the scuffle. But that scuffle shows a lot of confidence and shows a lot of just like how much these players believe in each other over there in Detroit. So the other teams also are the Bucks, Pacers, and Knicks. Those are the other teams that round out the 6 teams that are now in the playoffs. Like I said, seeding, it can fluctuate for the East, but it's basically set in stone for the East. Now the West, I'm going to emphasize that now for the West, y'all. I'm going to emphasize this, that there's only a game and a half separating the 3 seed from the 8 seed. I think with the Lakers, I believe they actually can bump up to the 2 seed if the Houston Rockets, lose out or something of that nature. So but basically the 3 through 8. It is not, you don't know who's going to get what. So, like I said, it's going to come down to that last game of the season. Is going to come down to when the clock hits 0, y'all. So let's kind of look at the Western Conference right now and where we're at. So, for the playoffs, that number 1 seed is completely locked up. OKC has it. No one can dethrone them at that number 1 seed. The number 2, though, is Houston. And like I said, if they lose out, barring they lose out, any unforeseeable thing happens, they got that number 2 seed locked up as well. But for the play-in, now, 3 through 6? Now, It's the Nuggets, Lakers, Clippers, Warriors, Grizzlies, Timberwolves. Those are like the teams that are really looking to play in the playoffs. But the play-in now is these last 3 teams are kind of just they can't get much higher. I don't think they can. The Sacramento Kings, the Dallas Mavericks, and the Phoenix Suns. It looks like they're rounding out that last spot. That 10th seed for the play-in. So they're rounding out that. So like I said, the Wild Wild West. We got so much going on over there. I want you guys to let me know what you think down below. How's these last couple games gonna pan out? Is someone gonna separate themselves from this pack in the Western Conference? What about in the East? Is there someone in the East that can shock the world? Do you think Detroit is gonna get bounced out in the first round when because they already clinched, so they're in there. So it's just more so, like I said, seeding. Let me know what you guys think down below in terms of just everything going on. This is a chaotic NBA season. Chaotic, and it's always going down to the wire. Super exciting. Just let me know what you guys think, y'all. With that, let us transition into NFL now. football talk, y'all. You know what I'm saying? So now we got my first ever This Week in Sports official NFL mock draft for this upcoming draft coming up. And I'm going to just dive right into who I believe is going to get picked. And so let's just get right into it. I did all 32 teams. It's for only the first round. So I did a mixture for this one. I did a mixture of basically team needs and then also best player available when it comes to some of these teams. So while I look at my mock draft, I'll give a little analysis of why I think some certain players should go where. I got a surprise there's a surprise one in there somewhere, y'all. So I want y'all to, bear with me here. Alrighty, so as we may know, the Tennessee Titans, they hold the first overall pick in this upcoming draft. They have a lot of holes to fill over there in Tennessee, but I think with the first overall pick, I think they really go. This guy will really just help elevate this team tremendously. We're talking about Cam Ward, the quarterback out of Miami. I believe the Tennessee Titans go with Cam Ward with the first overall pick. He's the best quarterback in this draft. He's a gunslinger with a big arm and mobility as well. So I think the Titans get their franchise guy with Cam Ward at number 1. At number 2, the Cleveland Browns, they hold that second pick. And now there's a lot of speculations going on between, they got options here. They can go with Shador. They can go with Abdul Carter. They can go with Travis Hunter. But I believe for the future of this franchise, I believe the number 2 overall pick should be Abdul Carter, the defensive end out of Penn State. He's probably one of, if not the best prospect in this draft. They locked up Myles Garrett, but if you have him opposite side of Myles Garrett, opposing teams will find it hard to block both of these physical specimens. Abdul Carter, he is dealing with, I think it was like a foot injury. I know they had speculations if he's going to get surgery or not for it. I think he opted out of it. So he should be ready by like rookie minicamps and rookie OTAs, something around those lines. But Abdul Carter, he's a very raw specimen. I think he would be that number 2 guy. And like I said, pairing him up with Myles Garrett will really help elevate that Browns defense as well. Now the Giants, y'all, they hold the number 3 pick as well. The number 3 pick, okay? Now, they just signed, with the signing of both Russ and Jameis, I just can't see them passing up on a generational player. And I believe they will select Travis Hunter. I think he'll make an immediate impact no matter what side of the ball he plays. And like I said, his tape speaks for itself, y'all. Travis Hunter, the cornerback / receiver out of Colorado, going number 3 overall to the New York Giants. Now with the New England Patriots, they have the 4th overall pick. And now I think this for them, they missed out on Travis Hunter. He already got selected, so I think they go with the best player available at this time. And now take his short arms out of the equation. You're looking at the best tackle in this year's draft, and Will Campbell, the offensive tackle out of LSU. Drake May's blindside will pay a dividend by selecting him. So I believe the New England Patriots will go with Will Campbell with that 4th overall pick. And like I said, they already made some offensive line moves, but getting Will Campbell will definitely help in Drake May's development and his confidence. So I think they'll go with Will Campbell with the 4th overall pick. Going down to number 5 with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, they have their franchise guy and Trevor Lawrence. They got some speedy receivers. They got Brian Thompson Jr. And they got a good running game as well with Travis Etienne. So the offensive side looks like it doesn't need much touching. Let's move on over to the defensive side, to the D-line. I think this is kind of like the best player available as well for them. I think they go with Mason Graham, the defensive lineman out of Michigan. He got instant read and response technique. He can clog up the middle, and he's quick and can generate tons of disruption. And I think that'll be a huge addition to the Jacksonville Jaguars defense, and probably bring back Saxonville because that 2017 team, the Saxonville Jaguars, was a treat to watch, and I think Mason Graham will help bring that vibe back to Jacksonville. Now, number 6. Shout out to Jaron, by the way, my friend who's a Raiders fan. He's there. He's there, Jaron. Ashton Jeanty is there. But I don't believe they select him. With the addition of Eric Stokes and now Jack Jones commanding the opposite side, you might think it makes no sense for the Vegas Raiders to pass up on Ashton Jeanty. But hear me out now. I believe they select Will Johnson, the cornerback out of Michigan. He's probably the best. But let's say if Vegas sees what I'm seeing and what many others see in Will Johnson, you're looking at a shutdown corner with great instincts. And he could be a really solid corner in this league. He is battling a turf toe. But like I said, he's one of the probably the best corners in this league. He was a consensus like top 3 pick coming into the season, but his injury kind of slipped him down a little bit. So I believe the Las Vegas Raiders will select Will Johnson with that 6th overall pick. And really help. Like I said, they did get Eric Stokes and they got Jack Jones, but put Will Johnson in the slot or move Eric Stokes to the slot and put Will Johnson there. He's a physical guy himself. He can play man to man. He can do it all. That's what makes the most sense for the Vegas Raiders. Now for the New York Jets, they have the 7th overall pick. I think I got them selecting Tyler Warren, the tight end out of Penn State. Now he's the do-it-all Swiss Army knife. He's the best tight end prospect in this draft. He has elite ball skills and toughness. I think Justin Fields has his newest security blanket in Tyler Warren, and it's going to really just help that offense over there with Garrett Wilson as well in New York. Now for the Carolina Panthers, they ranked 30th in sacks generated. So looking at this team, their D-line and their linebackers, they just couldn't get any type of pressure on opposing teams last year. So I think they go with one of the best available players at the 8th spot. I think they go with Jalen Walker, the edge rusher out of Georgia. He's a smaller edge guy, but he has tremendous upside. He has an athletic edge with lots of leadership qualities as well. So like I said, there's a lot of upside that comes with Jalen Walker. So I think the Carolina Panthers go with Jalen Walker. Now, this might surprise you guys. This might surprise you. Number 9, we got the New Orleans Saints. Now, the New Orleans Saints, they got Derek Carr. They got Alvin Kamara. They got a lot of speedy guys at receiver. Maybe they need to touch on that defense. But no, the Saints get their guy. They select Shedeur Sanders with the 9th overall pick. You know, Shedeur is the highly touted prospect. And like I said, he might need to look to sit behind Derek Carr at least for a year. He's a raw talent at quarterback position, but he has such a high ceiling. The Saints could do what the Chiefs did back in 2017. Obviously, they traded up to get Patrick Mahomes, but the Saints don't got to make no movement here. They don't got to make no movement here. They select him at number 9. Let him sit behind Derek Carr for a year and let him develop and work on his footwork, work on a lot of his the intangibles. And I think the New Orleans Saints get Shedeur Sanders with the number 9 overall pick. Now, the Chicago Bears, they have the 10th. They got the 10th overall pick. They got a lot of pieces they need to look to grab over here as well. But the 10th spot, I think, is a perfect position for the Chicago Bears. How are we looking, Noah?
We're good.
Okay. I was like,
already stopped it.
oh, type shit. All right. With the new addition at O-line, Ben Johnson plus this guy right here, I believe they get Ashton Jeanty, the running back out of Boise State. You pair Ben Johnson with Ashton Jeanty, it's a match made in heaven for this team. He will take a load off of Caleb Williams' back for sure and really just help ignite that offense over there in Chicago.
You about to say bolster, huh?
Nope. No. I'm expanding my vocabulary, y'all. I can't keep saying bolster, okay? But this guy right here is going to bolster the San Francisco 49ers defense at the number 11 pick. So now the rebuild starts in this draft for the San Francisco 49ers. They let go a ton of guys. They lost a lot of guys in free agency, trade, etc., all that stuff. So I believe this guy right here, Shamar Stewart, the edge guy out of Texas A&M, being one of the focal points in this rebuild for the San Francisco 49ers. He has untapped upside that San Fran can get out of him for sure. He's long and lengthy with quickness, but also his lack of production on the field is kind of what's has him slipping. But again, you know, there's lots of upside with this guy, with Shamar Stewart. You know, he played really well over at Texas A&M. Like I said, not too much production on the field, but if you take that out of the equation, you got yourself a nice raw player in Shamar Stewart. Now, the Dallas Cowboys. I always have something to say about them Dallas Cowboys. But I think for once in their life, they get something right here. So they missed off on Ashton Jeanty. I believe if Ashton Jeanty fell to 12, they probably would have got him. But I don't see Chicago passing up on Ashton Jeanty. But they go with another skill position guy, the wide receiver out of Arizona. They call him T-Mac, Tetaroa McMillan. Now, he has great size and ball skills. He can play over the top. He's a great complementary piece alongside CeeDee Lamb, and he has a great catch radius as well, y'all. He has some things to work on in terms of separation and stuff like that. Running his routes a little lackadaisical, so he needs to work on those things. But having him in Dallas with the new acquisition in Joe Milton, but I don't think Dak Prescott doesn't worry too much about his position, his starting position being in jeopardy, unless he plays terrible or if he gets hurt. Hopefully we're not wishing for any of that, but anything can happen. But taking Tetaroa McMillan at the 12 makes so much perfect sense for the Dallas Cowboys. This 13th for the 13th pick, we have the Miami Dolphins. Now, the biggest thing for Miami, this has been their storyline for the past 3 seasons, and it's to protect Tua. He got, in his 11 games last year, y'all, he got sacked 21 times. That's damn near 2 sacks a game. That's unacceptable. He's battled many concussions. He's had terrible hits he's taken as a quarterback. Some might be on him for scrambling out the pocket and not sliding and stuff like that. But still, they have no protection for him. I think they take the best available tackle that's there at 13, Armand M'Bou. He's composed, he has great quickness, and he has elite body control. His processing time is quick in terms of his pass protection, so I believe him at 13 will make perfect sense for the Miami Dolphins. Now, we have the Indianapolis Colts at the 14th pick. They have a lot to look over. Now, who knows what they're going to do with quarterback with Anthony Richardson. I don't know how much confidence they really have in him, but I think they roll with him a little bit longer, and I think they go on the other side of the ball and go focus on that defense. They lost a lot of guys in that secondary. They need to get more depth. They need to get somebody who can fit this scheme in Indy, and I think they go with Jahdae Barron out of Texas, a cornerback. He's an All-American, so he's he won the Jim Thorpe Award, which is the best defensive player or best defensive back in the nation. So he has very instinctive underneath cover guy. He has great field awareness, and like I said, he's one of the most talented DBs in this draft. You can load him up in the box. You can put him out wide to cover any of these slot receivers or any of these receivers. So I think they go with him to really help with that secondary over there in Indy. I believe I know they signed Cameron Bynum too. So I think that tandem right there will really help out Indy for sure. Now we have the Atlanta Falcons with the 15th overall pick. Now they've had some issues. They've had some issues with having a good, speedy, and athletic linebacker. I think this is their key in the first round. This is what they need to really hone in on, is that linebacker position. So I think they go with Jahad Campbell, the linebacker out of Alabama. He, like I said, speed and athleticism at the linebacker spot has been a bit troublesome for Atlanta. And this guy right here in Jahad, he has good height and weight, and his pursuit speed is great, along with getting depth quickly. So his side-to-side quickness to get from sideline to sideline is a perfect fit for Raheem Morris and that Atlanta's second defense over there in Atlanta. And like I said, with him, he's kind of raw himself in terms he still needs more. He just needs more reps. He needs more reps at the linebacker position. But I believe that Raheem Morris, he has the tools to really get the best out of Jahad Campbell. So I got him going 15th. Now with the Arizona Cardinals, you can go one or two ways. You can go get a tackle. I feel like they've been doing this for the last couple of years to get protection for Kyler Murray. But I think I think they go with the best available player here for them, which is Michael Williams, the edge guy out of Georgia. So we got some SEC guys getting off the board back to back. He has pure raw talent at the edge position. This is another guy that just needs more snaps. More snaps are needed for him. He didn't play too much at the linebacker position or at the edge position for Georgia last year. He's explosive with tremendous length, and he's very physical. And I think Mykel Williams will be a perfect fit for Arizona. And so they select their guy. They get a nice edge rusher in him, and they can just develop him with Jonathan Gagnon being over there, and he's a big defensive guy himself. So Arizona gets their guy. With the Cincinnati Bengals, now with them, again, same thing, best available player. I think they get I think they get a defensive guy here. This guy, like I said, he played over at Marshall, so he's not at a big school. Marshall played well last year, but Mike Green, he had 17 sacks last season that led the nation. His production is there. He's an instinctive pass rusher. You line him up opposite side of Trey Hendrickson, and you got yourself a problem. Now, obviously, with Trey Hendrickson, who knows what's going to be going on over there with Cincinnati with him. I don't know. I can't remember. I don't know if they did lock him up. I'll double check and look into that, but even so, they can build around Mike Green and have a younger guy in him, and who's obviously have him on a rookie deal as well. So I think the Bengals go with Mike Green with the 17th pick. We're almost there, y'all. We're almost there. I know it might seem a little exhausting, but if anything, just skip to your team. You know the position your team's at. Skip to them and see who I believe they're gonna pick. But I'm gonna keep going though. So. With the 18th pick, we have the Seattle Seahawks. Now, they trade away Geno Smith. They signed Sam Darnold. So I think they need to bolster that offensive line. Oop. Shit. But you know what? It's okay. They go with the Texas All-American, Kelvin Banks. He's a 3-year starter in college. He's battle-tested, y'all. He's battle-ready, too. He played against current and future NFL pros already. So, and like I said, he's quick and athletic. And like I said, he's an All-American. You get someone like him to cover up Sam Darnold's backside, he'll be a happy man. He'll be a happy man who got paid, who's going to be a happy man. Get him protection. He's a good pass protector. He's very nasty when it comes to running as well. He's a downhill type of blocker as well. So I think the Seattle Seahawks are with Kelvin Banks at 18. Now the Buccaneers, I think they take an interesting route here. I think they go with Malachi Starks, the safety out of Georgia. He's a versatile safety with a hefty resume over there at Georgia. Anybody that comes from Georgia, any defensive player from Georgia, they're packing a punch. He has a high football IQ, and he has speed to cover any slot receiver down the field, and he can locate the ball with quickness as well. So I think Tampa Bay goes with Malachi Starks and pairs him up with Antonio Winfield Jr. and see how that goes. That tandem goes over there in Tampa. Now with the 20th overall pick, it's my Denver Broncos. Now, like I said, we're going with either best available or team needs. Now, yes, Colston Loveland is there at 20, but they just signed Evan Ingram in free agency, and I don't think they will spend this 20th pick on a tight end. The tight end class is a little deep, so they can definitely shoot for the second or third round to find someone worthy enough for that tight end position. But I believe it's in Denver's best interest to get... Oh, shoot. Hold on. Okay, we're good. I think it's in Denver's best interest to get the second best running back in this draft, Amarian Hampton, the running back out of North Carolina. He's a bell cow of a runner with size, strength, and aggression. He's a high volume guy as well, and he's a 1,000-yard rusher. I think the Broncos, they finally find their running back in Amarian Hampton. He's basically a younger, healthier version of Javonte Williams, who struggled after injuring his knee for Denver. He wasn't the same the year prior, so I think getting Amarian Hampton to go into that running back room will definitely help out Denver. And then, like I said, it's going to help out Bo Nix. So to help develop Bo Nix's confidence as well, you need to have a really good running game. So I believe that's who they'll go with. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21. I don't know what they're doing. They said they're waiting on Aaron Rodgers, but I don't seem that that's suitable for this team that just traded for DK Metcalf. So I believe they go with Jackson Dart, the quarterback out of Ole Miss. He's a raw talent at quarterback with upside. He got subtle mobility there. He's exceptional in situational decision making. If Rodgers is signed, he will be a great mentor for Dart for the future. But I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers get the quarterback of the future in Jackson Dart. With the 22nd pick, we have the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, when I look at the Los Angeles Chargers, I believe they go with the tight end from Michigan, Colston Loveland. Now, after Antonio Gates retired, the Chargers really didn't have a really reliable tight end. Maybe it was Hunter Henry, but since then they missed the mark on their tight ends. They haven't had that guy at the tight end position since Antonio Gates. Now, Colston Loveland, he's a keen athletic. He's a keen athletic guy with a lot of ability, and he has great ball skills. He's a high volume target for sure that can run just about any and every route on the route tree. So having them with the 22nd overall pick is who I believe. Now, this might be my first reach in this draft. Maybe the Ashton Jeanty pick might have been a reach, but this might be a reach too. I think with the departure of Eric Stokes and others, I think the Green Bay Packers will go with Maxwell Harrison, the cornerback out of Connecticut. My fault. Connecticut. No, Kentucky. I'm tripping. Kentucky. Like I said, Eric Stokes left in free agency along with other guys as well. And it seems like he's a good fit here in Green Bay. He's a ball hawking corner. He has 6 picks. He has 3 pick sixes. He has long arms, and he's agile and can play man or zone. He was viewed as the best cornerback in this draft early on in the season. Kind of slipped a bit, but I think with the 23rd pick, I think the Green Bay Packers go with him. Staying on the defensive side, we have the Minnesota Vikings with the 24th pick. Now, they lost Cameron Bynum, and also they have, They have Harrison Smith. Harrison Smith is getting up there in age as well, so I think they need to pair him with another safety. I think they go with the safety out of South Carolina, Nick Emmanwori. Like I said, with Bynum gone, he can come in and fill that spot as a nasty, versatile safety himself. His speed is on his side, and he's a hard hitter as well with rare size. He's 6'3", so he's a big safety who can cover. He can play in the box. You can match him up with some of the best tight ends as well. So try to put him out there with the Travis Kelce's. Try to put him out there with the Dalton Knoxes and all those all those guys over there in the NFL. I believe he can really help that secondary over there in Minnesota. Now, the Houston Texans with the 25th pick, they gave up the 4th most sacks in the NFL with 54 last year. So I think they need to address that offensive line issue with Laram Tunsil getting traded away. I think they go younger here. They go with Josh Simmons. He is a San Diego native, by the way. He went to SDSU. He's battling from a season-ending injury back in October, but he has great size and length. He's smooth as butter. He can get out of his stance. His slide quickness is NFL ready for sure. So I think with Josh Simmons from Ohio State, taking him over to Houston to help C.J. Stroud and help with him in his 3rd year in the NFL, I think Josh Simmons will be a perfect fit to go to the Houston Texans. Now, I believe this is more of a team need pick for the LA Rams with the 26th pick. I think they go with Tyler Booker, the guard from Alabama. He's a physical guard with elite physical traits. He has good size and power. His field IQ is through the roof, and he's also a downhill blocker. So I think the Rams go with Tyler Booker with that 26th pick. I think another one here, I think it's another just team need pick right here for the Baltimore Ravens at 27. I think they go with James Pierce Jr., the edge out of Tennessee. He's above average in height. I think he's like 6'3", he's 6'5". He's 6'5", so he's a tall guy. and he has a high pressure rate as well, and he uses his length to his advantage, and he definitely has a high ceiling. So I think the Baltimore Ravens take a pick on him at 27. And mind you, y'all, this is more just like the first. Like, I'm not doing any trades or anything like that. We're gonna keep it just team needs, and like I said, best available players. So there's not gonna be any trades in this mock draft. I think we'll just keep it cookie cutter in a sense, just so we can kind of see what's out there. Now, with the 28th pick, we have the Detroit Lions. Coming off of 15 wins last year, that team was hit with an injury bug on the defensive side heavy last year. So they need to get more depth on the defensive side. So I think they go with, and he slipped a little bit, but that's more so just because there's other needs for other teams. I think Kenneth Grant, the defensive lineman out of Michigan, he has heavy hands as an interior guy, and he'll be an immediate impact on this squad. I think Kenneth Grant, the defensive lineman out of Michigan, will go to 28 to the Detroit Lions. With the 29th pick, we have the Washington Commanders. They have a lot of needs they need as well, probably on that defensive side, but I think they go with the best available player here, which is the best interior lineman out of the FCS, which is Greg Zabel out of North Dakota State. And like I said, best interior lineman out of the FCS by far. He's gritty. He's a downhill blocker. He has good pass protection. His skill sets has untapped potential there as well. And I think getting him over to Washington to help protect Jaden Daniels will help this team out tremendously, okay? Now with the Buffalo Bills, they have the 30th overall pick. Last year they missed out on Xavier Worthy, so I'm like, I don't see them missing out on another speedy guy this year. They need to get another receiver to really pair up with Josh Allen. They need somebody. They need a playmaker. Whoever they got is not gonna, like, Khalil Shakur. Like, he's cool, he's good, but they need more speed. They need more downfield speed, and they need to open up over the top. So I think they get one of the fastest wide receivers in the combine, and Matthew Golden, the wide receiver out of Texas. Like I said, they missed out on Xavier Worthy last year, but I think this is the time that they draft a wide receiver in the first round that's agile. He has elite body control. He's productive, and then he can create tremendous separation against any opposing cornerback. So I believe Matthew Golden goes 30th to the Buffalo Bills.
I'll go back farther.
Now, the Kansas City Chiefs, their O-line struggled, in particular at the right tackle and the left tackle position last year. And it plagued this Chiefs team all season long. They got Patrick Mahomes banged up all season too as well. And it definitely showed in the Super Bowl when they gave up, 6-7 sacks against the Philadelphia Eagles. So I believe they pick, like I said, this is a team need pick, so I think they go with Josh Connerly Jr., the offensive tackle out of Oregon. He moves easily in space. His game against Abdul Carter kind of showed a lot of upside. He played really well against him. He played very aggressive, so I think they go with him to help out Patrick Mahomes and protect him a little bit better. So they go with Josh Connerly Jr. at 31. And then to round out the 32nd, the first round with the 32nd pick, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I think this is a team need pick right here as well. They lost Milton Williams up the middle in the free agency. So I think, and like I said, the turnover that's inevitable that with a Super Bowl champion, like I said, the loss of Milton Williams, that leaves a hole in the middle of that D-line. So with the combination of his size, his strength, and his length, Derek Harmon, the defensive lineman out of Oregon, he makes him, this makes perfect sense for them. Like I said, his size makes him a statue. He's stingy in the middle, and he's tough, y'all. He's a tough guy. So that concludes the first round of the NFL draft, of my mock draft at least. Like I said, I feel like this is pretty solid. I think there's a couple surprises. Like I said, with Shador falling 9 to the New Orleans Saints, and then also, I think with Pittsburgh, I think they go Jackson Dart. So, 3 quarterbacks coming out of the first round. I think that's a major highlight of this draft. Ashton Genting going to 10 to The Chicago Bears is another highlight as well. I think, and there's Denver. I think Denver picking Amarion Hampton is another highlight, which I think hopefully will happen in this upcoming draft. Let me know what you guys think down below of this mock draft I had. Like I said, I put some time into it. I did a lot of studying of some of these players and looked at a lot of tape and looked at a lot what these teams needed. And like I said, or the best available player. But with that being said, y'all, this wraps up this special edition of This Week in Sports. That's episode 9 that we just punched out right then and there. Like I said, we're not going to be outdoors all the time. I need to get out this hot suit. I appreciate all my listeners and all my supporters out there for sure. Stay tuned. Like I said, we'll get this episode out as soon as possible. I appreciate all you guys, and catch you next week.